Hello, hello, hello everyone! Today we are going to be making some maple chocolate chip cookies. These are my girls' favorite cookies at the moment because it switches. And we'll be learning how to make them. So what we do to get started is we are going to add the flour. So I'm going to get all ready for that. Okay, so it's going to be 1.5 cups of flour. And I'm using all-purpose flour. I have tried it with whole grain. It tastes gross with the whole grain. You can't taste the maple at all. With that, you'd have to put half a bottle of the extract in, plus maple syrup, and it still has a very faint taste of maple. So this is why we use all-purpose. We have not tried it with almond flour. Coconut flour gives it too much of a sweet coconut taste rather than a maple syrupy taste. If that makes sense. So we don't use that. I've tried it with all the different flours, and honestly, the best tasting one is the all-purpose, okay? To get the real maple flavor out, and without using maple extract, okay? You can use it. There's nothing against it. In the recipe below, I do show how much you can use if you want to put it in, but we don't put it in because I find that this is good enough, okay? So now I'm going to be adding some brown monk fruit. No, actually it's stevia, sorry. Brown sugar stevia. So for stevia, you can get the icing sugar one, or you can get normal, the white flour one, and then you can get the brown sugar one. So that's what I got, is this. The only time I really only use it is for baking. Other than that, I sweeten with fruit or honey or maple syrup, because the sugar replacements and everything, we're trying to get away from that, but we're also trying not to eat sugar at all because my oldest is autistic, and that has been really working out for her. Now, there's no studies on it at all. Well, there's studies, but it doesn't work for every kid. Okay, for mine it worked, cutting out the sugar. So, and it's also really good for you. So we've been doing that. So we have 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, okay? And then we're gonna add just 10 bit of salt, and that's all the dry ingredients for these cookies. So we're gonna mix that together. If you're measuring salt, it's 1/4 teaspoon, so we don't really measure. Now we're just gonna get this all mixed up. Break down the brown stevia a bit. Now, if you want to know all the different sugar replacements that you can use when you're baking, if you're trying to get away from sugar, I do have a video on different sugar replacements, and I'll put it in the description below. But like I said, we try and use monk fruit and stevia only when we bake, when it's absolutely necessary. So if you need a brown sugar, mostly it's for coloring, not for taste. Then we only use the honey or the maple syrup. We try and stay as natural as possible in this house, and not have any processed foods as much as we possibly can. Sometimes you can't avoid it buying from the store, but we do try and buy from our local farms as much as possible when we are considering our food. And we grow everything that all our fruits and vegetables, we grow it all. So we're trying to stay, and I do have videos on how to do that as well. But anyways, okay, back to the cookies. Now we're gonna do our wet ingredients. So I have butter here. The butter is softened, and you want one. Sorry, there's still a big chunk of brown sugar. You want 1/2 cup of softened butter. So I have that here. I'm gonna pour that in. Here It can be softened, it can be melted. For me, I like that it melted because then it just mixes everything like so much better. But it doesn't have to be melted, okay? It can just be softened. And then we have half a cup of maple syrup. Now this maple syrup I got from a farm. If you don't have access to that, just make sure it's 100% maple syrup at the store and not processed. The best way to find your maple syrup is in the organic section. That would be 100% maple syrup. But if you just go like even like a little out in the country, if there's a little built up area, because that's where I live in the country, in a little built up area. We have 223 people that live in this little built up area, and we all have like beef farms and chickens, and we just share all our stuff, right? If you just go out just a little bit that way, you can find farmers markets and stuff, and the maple syrup farmers market is most likely from a farm. Hence farmers market, okay? Now we're gonna add 1 large egg. There we go. This is from my chickens at the back. Okay, just gonna wipe that off now. And then we're gonna mix this all together. And normally I do this in my mixer, not by hand, but I didn't think you'd be able to see as clearly because it will just be a big mixer in front of me for the video. So bear with me while I'm mixing. And then we can add our chocolate chips. Now, we have, you can get 100% sugar-free chocolate chips in the organic section. What I have is I went down the baking aisle and just so, you know, to save costs, you can go down the baking aisle and you can get 80% dark chocolate chips. They're actually not that much sugar. I think it's like 1 gram off of the sugar-free chocolate chips. There we go. That's the word. In the organic section, like it's very small difference, and it's like $3 cheaper. So you go down your baking aisle and just get the 80% chocolate chips if you're trying to reduce. And they're dark chocolate chips, okay? And you can get no-name stuff. It's still good. Now, when you're done making the dough, I'll show you the dough. And it's going to look glorious. It's okay. So here is what the dough looks like. Yummy goodness, right? And we're gonna add some chocolate chips. I just put in like a few, just so like I don't measure. The recipe calls for half a cup, but I put in just like there's at least 1 or 2 chocolate chips in each cookie. That like it's not much. Like I probably use about 1/4 cup, not even, of chocolate chips. Okay, so here we go. That is what the dough looks like. Now, you're going to take about a tablespoon of this dough. You're going to put it on the tray. You're going to stick it in the oven at 350, and it's going to be about 8-10 minutes, and these cookies are going to be done. They do expand in the oven, so make sure you make some room on the cookie tray. Normally, I only put, what is it? 6 if it's a small tray, and 8 if it's a little bit bigger tray. I don't put a middle row in, okay? So you know how people like to do 3? No, don't do that. They expand. They get pretty big, okay? So I'm going to stick these in the oven, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out, okay? Here is what the cookies look like when they come out. I had a big tray, so I was able to put a lot on here. But they did expand, as you can see, like they are huge. Like look at how big they are.